Captain Jake Morrison stood on the bridge of his starship, the E.A.'s Defiant. His hands gripped the metal rail as he watched the massive space station grow larger on the main screen. Nexus Prime was the biggest structure he had ever seen. It was like a small moon made of metal and glass, spinning slowly in the darkness of space. "Captain, we're getting close," said his pilot, Lieutenant Tom Baker. "The aliens are telling us where to dock." Jake nodded. "Take us in, Tom, nice and easy." This was the day humans had been waiting for. After 2 years of talking through radio signals, Earth was finally going to meet the Galactic Council face to face. The Council ruled most of the galaxy. They decided which species could join their group and which ones had to stay home. Ambassador Lissa Carter sat in the passenger area, reading her notes one more time. She had practiced her speech for months. Today, she would ask the Council to let humans join them. Earth wanted to be part of the galactic community. They wanted to trade, learn, and explore together with other species. "Don't worry, Ambassador," Jake said as he walked over to her. "You'll do great." Lisa looked up and smiled, but Jake could see she was nervous. "I hope so, Captain. This is the most important day in human history." The Defiant docked with the space station. Jake felt the ship shake a little as the docking clamps locked into place. He had been to many space stations before, but this one felt different. It was ancient. The walls were covered with symbols from hundreds of different alien languages. The air smelled strange, like metal and something else he couldn't identify. Ambassador Carter walked through the corridors with 2 human guards. Jake and his crew watched everything on the ship's screens. The meeting room was huge, with a high ceiling that seemed to go up forever. Seats were arranged in circles, with the most important aliens sitting in the center. The Vorthik Chancellor was the first to speak. He was tall and thin, with gray skin and 4 arms. His voice was deep and cold. "So, these are the humans from the small planet called Earth." "Yes, Chancellor," Lisa said, standing up straight. "We come here today to ask for membership in the Galactic Council. Earth wants to join the galactic community." The Chancellor laughed. It was not a happy sound. "Join us? Your species has only been in space for a few hundred years. We have been traveling between stars for 50,000 years." A Zephyrian representative stood up next. She had blue skin and large black eyes. "Your technology is like toys compared to ours. Your ships are slow and weak. Your weapons are simple." "We may be new to space travel," Lisa said, "but we learn quickly. We have much to offer the galaxy." "What could you possibly offer us?" the Chancellor asked. "Your planet is young. Your people are young. You know nothing about the galaxy." More alien voices joined in. They talked about humans like they were children playing with dangerous toys. They said Earth was too primitive to understand galactic politics. They called human technology cute and amusing. Jake felt his anger growing as he watched from the ship. His chief engineer, Nick Bradley, stood beside him with his hands in fists. "They're treating us like we're stupid," Nick said. "I know," Jake replied, "but Lisa has to try." On the station, Ambassador Carter kept trying to make her case. She talked about human achievements, about their ability to solve problems and work together. She mentioned their art, their science, their desire to explore. The aliens were not impressed. The Vorthik Chancellor waved one of his 4 hands. "Your species has been alive for only a few thousand years. Some of us have been alive longer than your entire civilization. You are babies in the galaxy." "We have fought wars for millions of years," said another alien. "We have conquered worlds before your son was born. What do you know about real warfare?" A creature that looked like a giant insect clicked its mandibles. "Humans are violent and unpredictable. They fight each other over small things. They cannot be trusted." Lisa tried to defend her species. "Yes, we have had conflicts, but we have also learned to make peace. we have united our world. We want to bring that same unity to the galaxy." The Chancellor laughed again. "Peace? Your kind still fights wars on your own planet. You kill each other over resources and ideas. You are not ready for the responsibility of galactic citizenship." The Zephyrian representative added, "Perhaps, in 1,000 years, when you have grown up, you may ask again. But today, the answer is no." Jake watched as the aliens continued to mock Ambassador Carter. They made jokes about human appearance, calling them pink and soft. They laughed at human lifespans, saying humans died before they could learn anything useful. "Your ships are made of metal and fuel," one alien said. "Our ships are made of energy and thought. You cannot even imagine technology like ours." "We have been watching your species," the Chancellor said. "You are warlike and destructive. You poison your own world. You fight over territory like animals. The galaxy does not need more chaos." Amy Walsh, the science officer, was recording everything. "Captain, they're not even listening to her." "They made up their minds before we got here," Jake nodded. "They think we're nothing." On the station, the formal vote began. One by one, the alien representatives voted against human membership. The Chancellor counted the votes with obvious pleasure. "The motion to accept the human species into the Galactic Council is denied," he announced. "Furthermore, human ships are restricted to their local space. Any human vessel found outside the designated zone will be considered an act of aggression." "You mean we're trapped in our own solar system?" Lisa asked. "You are contained," the Chancellor said, "for the safety of the galaxy. Perhaps your children's children will be wise enough to join us, but not today." The Zephyrian representative stood up. "We suggest you return to your little planet and practice being civilized. Come back when you have learned not to be so violent and primitive." Ambassador Carter gathered her papers. Her face was red with embarrassment and anger. "You are making a mistake. Humans are stronger than you think." "Stronger?" The Chancellor laughed loudest of all. "Young species always think they are strong. You will learn differently." As Lisa walked back to the ship, Jake could see tears in her eyes. The most important diplomatic mission in human history had failed. Not only were humans rejected, but they were also being treated like dangerous children who needed to be locked in their room. "Prepare for departure," Jake told his crew. "We're going home." The Defiant undocked from Nexus Prime. As they flew away, Jake looked back at the massive space station. The aliens inside were probably already forgetting about the humans. They thought Earth was just another primitive world that would never amount to anything. Jake made a promise to himself that day. The aliens had called humans young, weak, and primitive. They had laughed at human technology and dismissed human potential. They would learn to regret those words. The galaxy was about to discover that being young did not mean being weak. Sometimes it meant being dangerous. 6 months had passed since the humiliation at Nexus Prime. The E.S. Defiant flew through the darkness of space, heading back to Earth. Captain Jake Morrison sat in his command chair, staring at the blue and white planet growing larger on the Fae. Screen. Home had never looked so precious. "Captain, we're getting a message from Earth Defense Command," said Communications Officer Dan Roberts. "Admiral Sullivan wants to see you immediately." Jake nodded. "Tell her we'll be there in 2 hours." A ship docked at Luna Station, the massive military base built on the far side of the moon. Jake had been here many times before, but today felt different. The station was busy with activity. Ships were being built, weapons were being tested, and thousands of people were working around the clock. Admiral Kate Sullivan met Jake at the airlock. She was a tall woman with gray hair and serious eyes. "Captain Morrison, welcome back. We need to talk." They walked through corridors that Jake had never seen before. The Admiral used her security card to open doors marked with danger signs. "What you're about to see is classified at the highest level," she said. "Only a few hundred people on Earth know about this." The elevator went down deep into the moon's rock. When the doors opened, Jake saw something that made his mouth drop. Open. The cavern was enormous, carved out of solid rock. Inside, people in white coats were working on machines that looked like nothing Jake had ever seen. "What is this place?" he asked. "This is Project Wrath," Admiral Sullivan said. "We've been working on it for 3 years, ever since we first made contact with the aliens." Dr. Ryan Hughes approached them. He was a young man with messy hair and excited eyes. "Captain Morrison, I've heard so much about you. You're going to love what we've built." They walked to a large machine that hummed with power. It was covered in displays showing numbers and graphs that Jake couldn't understand. "This is the quantum disruptor," Dr. Hughes explained. "It breaks apart matter at the smallest level. No shield can stop it." "The aliens use energy weapons," Admiral Sullivan said. "Lasers, particle beams, plasma cannons. They've been using the same basic technology for thousands of years. It works, so they never changed it." Jake looked at the machine. "And this is different?" "Completely different," Dr. Hughes said with a grin. "While they shoot energy at their enemies, we attack the basic building blocks of matter itself. Their shields are designed to stop energy weapons. They can't stop this." They moved to another section of the lab. Here, engineers were testing enormous guns that fired metal slugs. "Rail guns," explained Chief Engineer Maria Santos. "They use magnetic fields to fire tungsten rounds at 15% of light speed. The kinetic energy is incredible." Jake watched as they fired a test shot into a thick metal target. The tungsten slug went through it like it was made of paper. "The aliens don't use kinetic weapons much," Maria said. "They think they're primitive. They're about to learn how wrong they are." Admiral Sullivan led them to a briefing room. The walls were covered with pictures of alien ships and space stations. "We've been studying their technology for years," she said. "They're powerful, but they're also predictable. They do things the same way they've always done them." "What do you mean?" Jake asked. "They're old, Captain. Really old. Some of their civilizations have been around for millions of years. They've become set in their ways. They don't innovate anymore. They just use the same old technology because it's always worked." General Chris Martinez joined them. He was a big man with scars on his face from old battles. "We've been building a fleet," he said. "Small, but every ship has weapons the aliens have never seen before." Jake looked at the pictures on the walls. "You're planning to fight them?" "We're planning to show them that young doesn't mean weak." The general said. "They want to treat us like children? Fine, but children can be very dangerous when they're angry." Dr. Hughes brought out a tablet computer. "Look at this, Captain. We've been intercepting alien communications. They're not just arrogant, they're evil." The screen showed pictures of alien worlds. On one planet, a peaceful species was being forced to work in mines. On another, alien children were being taken from their families. "The Vorthic Empire enslaves entire species," Dr. Hughes said. "The Zephyrians conduct experiments on primitive civilizations. The Galactic Council doesn't keep peace. They keep order through fear." Jake felt his anger growing. "How long has this been going on?" "Thousands of years," Admiral Sullivan said. "Maybe longer. The galaxy is full of species that have been conquered, enslaved, or destroyed. The Council only lets their friends join. What about the species that refuse?" "They disappear," General Martinez said simply. Jake understood now. The meeting at Nexus Prime wasn't about whether humans were ready to join the galaxy. It was about whether the aliens could control them. When they saw that humans wouldn't be easy to dominate, they decided to keep them locked away. "So what's the plan?" Jake asked. Admiral Sullivan smiled. It was not a friendly smile. We're going to rescue some of the enslaved species. Starting with the Kalari. The screen showed a beautiful world with purple skies and silver cities. The Kalari were tall, thin creatures with large eyes and gentle faces. They looked like they had never hurt anyone in their lives. They're mathematicians, Dr. Hughes explained. Incredibly intelligent. They developed quantum equations that we're still trying to understand. The Vortex have been using them as slaves for 200 years. Their children are taken when they're young, Admiral Sullivan said, trained to work in quantum mines. Most of them never see their families again. Jake looked at the pictures of Kalari families being separated. That's horrible. It's going to stop, General Martinez said. The Vortex think their system is perfectly defended. They have patrol ships, defense satellites, and early warning systems. But all of their technology is designed to fight other aliens. They're not ready for us, Admiral Sullivan said. We fight differently. We think differently. We build our technology differently. They showed Jake the new human ships. They were smaller than alien vessels, but they were covered in armor that could adapt to different types of attacks. They had stealth systems that made them invisible to alien sensors. Most importantly, they had weapons that no alien had ever seen before. The Defiant is being upgraded, Admiral Sullivan said. You'll have the prototype quantum disruptor, railguns, and stealth plating. Your job is to get to the Kalari homeworld and evacuate as many as possible. Jake looked at the mission plan. The Kalari world was deep in Vortex space, protected by an entire fleet. This is a suicide mission. Maybe, the Admiral said, but it's also a message. We're going to show the galaxy that humans don't stay in their cage quietly. What about the other ships? They'll be hitting Vortex targets across 3 star systems, General Martinez said. Supply bases, patrol stations, communication hubs. All at the same time. Jake studied the plans. It was ambitious and dangerous. If it worked, they would rescue thousands of enslaved beings and prove that humans were not to be underestimated. If it failed, Earth would face the wrath of the entire Galactic Council. When do we leave? He asked. 2 weeks, Admiral Sullivan said. That's how long it will take to finish the upgrades on your ship. Jake stood up. I'll need to brief my crew. Your crew has already been briefed, the Admiral said. They volunteered for this mission before you even got back to Earth. That didn't surprise Jake. His crew was loyal and brave. They had seen the alien arrogance firsthand. They wanted revenge as much as he did. One more thing, Captain, Dr. Hughes said. The quantum disruptor is untested in real combat. We think it will work, but we won't know for sure until you fire it. Jake grinned. I guess we'll find out together. As they walked back through the secret laboratory, Jake felt something he hadn't felt in months. Hope. The aliens thought they had put humans in their place. They thought Earth would quietly accept being treated like a primitive backwater world. They were wrong. Humans had spent the last 6 months preparing for war. Not the kind of war the aliens were used to, with energy weapons and ancient tactics. This would be a new kind of war, fought with human ingenuity and human rage. The galaxy was about to learn that young species could be the most dangerous of all, especially when they had been pushed too far. The ES Defiant moved through space like a ghost. The new stealth technology made the ship invisible to alien sensors. Captain Jake Morrison watched the stars on his screen, knowing that somewhere among them was their target. How long until we reach the Kalari system? He asked. 6 hours, Captain, replied Navigator Tom Maker. The Vortex patrol routes are exactly where intelligence said they would be. Jake nodded. For 2 weeks, they had been studying Vortex tactics. The aliens were predictable. They had been using the same patrol patterns for centuries. Why change? Something that worked? Engineer Sofia Martinez looked up from her control panel. Stealth systems are working perfectly, Captain. Even if a Vorthik ship flew right next to us, they wouldn't see us. Good, Jake said. Remember, we go in quiet, get the Kalari, and get out. No heroics. But as they got closer to the Kalari world, Jake began to change his mind about heroics. The planet looked beautiful from space, with purple skies and silver cities. But as they got closer, he could see the ugly truth. Massive mining facilities scarred the planet's surface. Alien ships flew back and forth, carrying precious metals and quantum crystals. And in the cities, Jake could see the Kalari people working under the watchful eyes of Vorthik guards. "My God," whispered Science Officer Amy Walsh. "Look at what they've done to this place." The Kalari had once been a peaceful species. They loved mathematics and art. They had never built weapons or fought wars. That made them easy targets when the Vorthik Empire arrived 200 years ago. "Captain, I'm picking up transmissions from the surface," said Communications Officer Dan Roberts. "The Vorthiks are talking about their quotas. They need more workers for the deep mines." Jake clenched his fists. "What kind of workers?" "Children, sir. Kalari children. They're small enough to fit in the narrow mining tunnels." The bridge fell silent. Every human on the ship felt the same anger. These aliens weren't just conquering other species. They were using children as slave labor. "Change of plans," Jake said. "We're not just evacuating refugees. We're shutting down those mining operations." "Sir, our orders were to avoid direct confrontation," Amy said. "Our orders were to rescue the Kalari," Jake replied. "We can't do that while their children are being worked to death in mines." The Defiant moved closer to the planet. Through the ship's sensors, they could see Vorthik guards patrolling the cities. The aliens were 8 feet tall with gray skin and 4 arms. They carried energy weapons that could kill a Kalari with one shot. "Landing party, prepare for deployment," Jake announced. "Major Sam Thompson, you're leading the ground team." Major Thompson was a tough soldier with 20 years of experience. He had trained for this mission for months. "Ready, Captain?" "We'll get those kids out." The landing party wore new powered armor that made them stronger and faster. Their weapons fired superheated plasma that could cut through Vorthik armor. Most importantly, they had portable quantum disruptors that could disable alien equipment. Jake watched as the landing craft left the Defiant. The small ship was invisible to Vorthik sensors, but Jake still worried. His people were going into enemy territory to fight aliens who had been conquering worlds for thousands of years. "Captain, we're in position," Major Thompson's voice came through the radio. "The mining complex is heavily guarded, but the guards look bored." That was the problem with the Vorthiks. They had been in control for so long that they didn't expect resistance. The Kalari were peaceful by nature. They didn't fight back. "Begin the operation," Jake ordered. The attack started at dawn. Human soldiers moved through the mining complex like shadows. Their armor made them nearly invisible, and their weapons were silent. The first Vorthik guards died without knowing what hit them. Major Thompson led his team to the children's quarters. What they found there made even hardened soldiers angry. Kalari children, some as young as 6 years old, were sleeping on metal beds. Their small bodies were covered in bruises and scars for working in the mines. "Get them out of here," Thompson ordered. All of them. The evacuation began immediately. Human soldiers carried sleeping Kalari children to the landing craft. The children were so exhausted from working in the mines that they didn't even wake up, but the operation couldn't stay secret forever. A Vorthik patrol discovered the disabled guards and raised the alarm. Suddenly, the entire mining complex was full of alien soldiers searching for the intruders. "Major, you've got company coming," Jake warned from the ship. "We see them, Captain, but we're not leaving without these kids." The battle erupted in the mining tunnels. Vorthik soldiers fired their energy weapons, but the beams couldn't penetrate human armor. The humans returned fire with plasma rifles that burned through alien flesh and metal. The Vortex had never fought an enemy like this. They were used to conquering primitive species with simple weapons. Human soldiers were fast, smart, and equipped with technology the aliens had never seen. "Thompson, get out of there now," Jake ordered. "More ships are coming." "Almost finished, Captain. Just a few more kids." On the ship's sensors, Jake could see Vorthek reinforcements approaching. A patrol cruiser was heading for the planet, its weapons charging for battle. "Captain, we're being scanned," reported Amy Walsh. "The patrol ship knows something is wrong." Jake made a decision. Drop stealth mode, full power to weapons. The EA's Defiant appeared on alien sensors like a ghost, becoming real. The Vorthik patrol ship immediately changed course to intercept them. "Unknown vessel, identify yourself," came the alien transmission. "You are in restricted space." Jake opened a channel. "This is Captain Jake Morrison of the Earth ship Defiant. We're here to take back what you stole." There was a long pause. Then the alien captain spoke again. "Humans? Impossible. Your species is confined to your home system." "Not anymore," Jake said. "We've come to collect our friends." The Vorthik ship fired first. Its particle beam weapons struck the Defiant's hull, but the new adaptive armor absorbed the energy. The alien captain was shocked when his most powerful weapons did nothing. "Return fire," Jake ordered. "Rail guns full power." The Defiant's rail guns fired tungsten slugs at incredible speed. The metal projectiles hit the Vorthik ship's energy shields and passed right through them. The shields were designed to stop energy weapons, not solid matter moving at 15% of light speed. The tungsten slugs tore through the alien ship's hull like paper. The Vorthik vessel exploded in a ball of fire, its crew killed instantly. "Impossible," Jake heard an alien voice say on the radio. "How did they penetrate our shields?" "Major Thompson, pickup is in 5 minutes," Jake announced. "We've got more company coming." The landing party reached the extraction point just as 2 more Vorthik ships appeared in the sky. The human soldiers had rescued over 300 Kalari children, but now they were trapped on the surface. "Captain, we need covering fire," Thompson called. "You've got it," Jake replied. "Fire quantum disruptor." This was the moment of truth. The quantum disruptor had never been tested in real combat. Dr. Hughes had warned that it might not work, or it might work too well. The weapon fired, sending an invisible beam toward the Vorthik ships. For a moment, nothing happened. Then, suddenly, one of the alien vessels simply stopped existing. Its molecular bonds were torn apart at the quantum level, and the ship dissolved into a cloud of atoms. The second Vorthik ship tried to flee, but the railguns caught it before it could escape. Another cloud of fire marked the end of an alien vessel. "Landing party aboard, Captain," Thompson reported. "We've got all the children." Jake looked at the main screen. The Kalari children were being cared for by human medics. They were scared and confused, but they were safe. Many of them had never seen their parents, who were working in other parts of the mining complex. "Set course for the Kalari city," Jake ordered. "We're going to reunite some families." The Defiant flew low over the planet's surface. In the city, below, Kalari adults looked up at the strange ship. They had never seen anything like it before. "Major, take a team down there," Jake said. "Tell them their children are safe." The reunion was something Jake would never forget. Kalari parents who had given up hope were reunited with children they thought were lost forever. The gentle aliens wept tears of joy as they held their little ones. But Jake knew this was just the beginning. The Vorthik Empire would send more ships. They would be angry that their mining operation had been destroyed. They would want revenge. "Captain, we're picking up multiple ships approaching the system." Amy reported. "Looks like the entire Vorthic fleet is coming." Jake smiled. This was exactly what he had hoped for. The aliens were predictable. They were sending their whole fleet to crush what they thought was a single human ship. They were about to learn that the EA's Defiant was not alone. Hidden throughout the system, other human ships were waiting. The aliens were flying into a trap. "All ships, this is Captain Morrison," Jake said into his communicator. "Time to show these aliens what happens when you mess with Earth's children." The battle for the Kalari system was about to begin, and the Vorthics were about to discover that humans were much more dangerous than they had ever imagined. The Vorthic battle fleet dropped out of hyperspace like angry wasps. 20 massive warships surrounded the Kalari system, their weapons charging for battle. Admiral Corax, the fleet commander, was furious that a single human ship had destroyed his mining operation. "Find that primitive vessel and destroy it," he ordered his captains. "Make an example of these humans." But as the Vorthic ships spread out to search, something unexpected happened. Human ships began appearing all around them. The EA's Defiant was not alone. 11 other Earth vessels materialized from behind asteroids and moons, their stealth systems. Dropping as they prepared for battle. Captain Jake Morrison opened a channel to the entire Vorthic fleet. "This is Earth Defense Force. You are surrounded. Surrender now, and we might let you live." Admiral Corax laughed. 12 primitive ships against 20 of our finest warships? You humans are even more foolish than we thought. We tried to warn you, Jake replied, but you wouldn't listen. The battle began when the Vorthics fired their ancient particle beam weapons. The energy beams struck the human ships, but the adaptive armor absorbed the attacks. The aliens watched in shock as their most powerful weapons did nothing. "Impossible," Admiral Corax said. "Our weapons can destroy mountains." "Your weapons are old," Jake replied. "Ours are not." The human ships returned fire with weapons the Vorthics had never seen before. Railguns fired tungsten slugs that passed through energy shields like they weren't there. Quantum disruptors tore apart alien ships at the molecular level. Plasma cannons burned through hulls that had protected Vorthic vessels for centuries. First alien ship exploded in seconds, then the second, then the third. The Vorthic fleet, which had conquered hundreds of worlds, was being destroyed by 12 human vessels. "How is this possible?" Admiral Corax screamed. "We have the finest technology in the galaxy." "You have old technology," came a new voice on the radio. "We have new technology." Admiral Kate Sullivan's flagship, the EA's Retribution, appeared from behind the planet's largest moon. The massive human battleship was 3 times the size of the Defiant, and it was covered in weapons that made the Vorthics afraid. "This is Admiral Sullivan of Earth Defense Force," she announced. "You called. Use young. You called us primitive. You forgot that young species are hungry for justice." The Retribution fired its main weapon, a quantum cannon that could tear apart matter at the subatomic level. The beam struck the Vorthic flagship, and the massive alien vessel simply ceased to exist. One moment it was there, the next it was a cloud of atoms drifting in space. Admiral Corax barely escaped in a life pod. As he watched his fleet being destroyed, he sent a desperate message to the Vorthic High Command. "The humans are not what we thought. They're dangerous. Send reinforcements." But the reinforcements never came. At the same time, the battle was happening in the Kalari system. Human ships were attacking Vorthic targets across the galaxy. Supply bases, patrol stations, communication hubs, and military installations were being hit by Earth forces. The Vorthic Empire, which had ruled through fear for thousands of years, was falling apart in a single day. Meanwhile, in the Zarian system, another battle was taking place. The Zephyrian Republic had sent their finest dreadnought fleet to crush the human uprising. The Zephyrians were proud of their invincible warships, which had terrorized the galaxy for millennia. But the Zephyrians made the same mistake as the Vorthics. They underestimated human tactics. Lieutenant Commander Alex Turner flew as fighter. The Vamper through the asteroid field of Zirion. Behind him, 50 other human fighters followed in perfect formation. They were small and fast, difficult targets for the massive alien dreadnoughts. "Remember, people," Turner said to his pilots, "these aliens think in straight lines. We don't." The Zephyrian fleet arranged itself in the traditional battle formation they had used for 10,000 years. The dreadnoughts formed a wall of firepower, their weapons pointing forward. It was a formation that had never been defeated, but human. Fighters didn't attack from the front. They came from above, below, and from the sides. They used the asteroids as cover, flying between the rocks in patterns that confused the alien gunners. "What are they doing?" asked Commander Vextar of the Zephyrian flagship Eternal Glory. "This is not proper space combat." "They're adapting," his tactical officer replied. "They're using the environment as a weapon." The human fighters began attaching explosive charges to the larger asteroids. When the charges detonated, the rocks became massive projectiles flying at incredible speeds. The Zephyrian dreadnoughts, designed for conventional space warfare, couldn't dodge the incoming asteroids. "Impossible," Commander Vextar shouted as a mountain-sized rock smashed into his ship's hull. "This is not how space battles are fought. It is now," Turner replied over the radio. "Welcome to human warfare." The Zephyrian fleet, which had conquered 1,000 worlds, was being destroyed by rocks and small fighter craft. Their massive weapons couldn't target the fast-moving human ships, and their heavy armor couldn't protect them from asteroids moving at orbital speeds. One by one, the proud Zephyrian dreadnoughts were crushed or blown apart. The Eternal Glory, flagship of the fleet, tried to retreat but was caught by a coordinated attack from 12 human fighters. "This is impossible," Commander Vextar said as his ship burned around him. "We have ruled the galaxy for millennia." "Not anymore," Turner replied. "Your time is over." The Eternal Glory exploded in a ball of fire, taking with it the last hope of Zephyrian. Military power. News of the defeats spread across the galaxy faster than light speed. The Vorthic Empire, which had seemed invincible, was in full retreat. The Zephyrian Republic was begging for peace. Other alien species that had been enslaved for centuries began to rebel against their oppressors. On the planet Mordock, the enslaved Centauri people rose up against their Vorthic masters. They had heard about the humans who fought for freedom, and they wanted freedom too. On the world of Kepler 438b, the peaceful Andromedans stopped working in the quantum mines. They had learned that resistance was possible. In the Tau Ceti system, the aquatic Delphinians destroyed the Zephyrian research stations where their children had been taken for horrible experiments. The galaxy was in chaos, but it was the chaos of freedom, not oppression. Captain Jake Morrison stood on the bridge of the Defiant, watching the last Vorthic ship flee the Calari system. The battle was over, but the war was just beginning. "Captain, we're getting reports from across the galaxy," said Communications Officer Dan Roberts. "Human forces have won victories in 16 different systems. And the aliens? The ones who aren't dead are running," Amy Walsh reported. "The Vorthic Empire is collapsing. The Zephyrian Republic is in full retreat." Jake nodded. "Good, but this is just the beginning. We need to make sure they never come back." He opened a channel to all human forces. "This is Captain Morrison to all Earth defense ships. Phase 1 is complete. Now we begin Phase 2. "What's Phase 2? Asked Nick Bradley. Jake smiled. "We're going to Nexus Prime. It's time to have another conversation with the Galactic Council." The news of human victories spread faster than the aliens could react. In the Proxima system, Commander Lisa Hayes led a squadron of human destroyers against a Vorthic supply convoy. The alien ships surrendered without firing a shot, their crews too terrified to fight. "This is impossible," the Vorthic convoy commander said over the radio. "Your species was contained. You were supposed to stay in your home system. We got tired of being in our cage," Commander Hayes replied. "Now we're taking the galaxy back from bullies like you." Meanwhile, in the inner systems of the Zephyrian Republic, Captain Bob Wilson and his crew were liberating research stations where aliens had been conducting experiments on primitive species. What they found made even hardened soldiers sick. "They've been torturing these people for centuries," Wilson reported to Admiral Sullivan, "using them as test subjects for new weapons and diseases. Free them all," Sullivan ordered, "and make sure the galaxy knows what these civilized aliens have been doing." The rescued species were grateful but confused. They had been slaves for so long that they didn't know how to be free. Human soldiers became teachers, showing them how to defend themselves and organize their societies. But the biggest shock came from the Galactic Council itself. The same aliens who had dismissed humans as primitive children were now sending desperate messages to Earth. "Please," came a transmission from the Vorthic Chancellor. "We can negotiate. There's been a misunderstanding." "We offer tribute," said the Zephyrian representative. "Gold, rare metals, advanced technology. Just stop your attacks." Jake listened to the alien pleas with satisfaction. 6 months ago, these same beings had laughed at humanity. They had called humans weak and primitive. Now they were begging for mercy. "Captain, Admiral Sullivan wants to speak with you," Ben Roberts said. The Admiral's face appeared on the main screen. "Jake, excellent work in the Kaleri system. The rescued children are safe on Earth now." "Thank you, Admiral. What are our next orders?" "You're going to lead the fleet to Nexus Prime. It's time to finish what we started." Jake felt a chill of excitement. Nexus Prime was the heart of the Galactic Council. It was where humanity had been humiliated 6 months ago. Now they were returning as conquerors. "How many ships?" he asked. 50, Admiral Sullivan replied. 3 months had passed since the battle at Nexus Prime. The great space station now flew the flag of Earth alongside the symbols of dozens of freed species. Captain Jake Morrison walked through corridors that had once echoed with alien arrogance. Now they were filled with the voices of hope. The same meeting chamber where humanity had been rejected now hosted a very different gathering. Instead of the old Galactic Council, representatives from liberated worlds sat together as equals. The Kalari, now free from slavery, worked alongside humans to design new technologies. The Centauri shared their knowledge of quantum physics. The Andromedans taught humans about peaceful negotiation. Ambassador Lisa Carter stood at the center of the chamber, but this time she was not asking for permission. She was announcing humanity's terms for the new galactic order. "The old system is finished," she declared. "No more empires built on slavery. No more councils that rule through fear. From now on, every species has the right to govern themselves." The surviving alien leaders sat in the back of the chamber. The Vorthic Chancellor, who had once been so proud, now looked like a broken old man. The Zephyrian representative kept her head down, too ashamed to meet anyone's eyes. "What about us?" the Chancellor asked quietly. "What happens to our people?" Jake stepped forward. "Your people are welcome to join the new galactic community, but your governments are finished. Your empires are dissolved. Your military fleets are disbanded. You're destroying civilizations that are thousands of years old," the Zephyrian representative said. "We're destroying civilizations that were built on the suffering of others," Jake replied. "Good riddance." Admiral Kate Sullivan entered the chamber, carrying a tablet with the latest reports. Captain Morrison, I have updates from across the galaxy. Jake read the reports with satisfaction. The former Vorthic Empire had been divided into 17 independent worlds. The Zephyrian Republic was now 23 separate nations. Most importantly, the enslaved species were building their own governments. The Kalari have established their first democratic council, Admiral Sullivan reported. The Centauri are forming a republic. The Andromedans are creating a peaceful federation. And the former oppressors? Some are cooperating with the new order. Others are trying to hide on distant worlds. A few are still fighting, but they're losing badly. Jake nodded. What about the resistance movements? Growing stronger every day. The Tau Ceti Liberation Front has freed 3 more worlds. The Proxima. Rebels have captured the old Zephyrian research stations. Even species we've never met are rising up against their oppressors. It was exactly what Jake had hoped for. The human victory had inspired oppressed beings across the galaxy. Freedom was spreading faster than any military force could stop it. Dr. Ryan Hughes approached with a group of Kalari scientists. Captain Morrison, we've made a breakthrough. The Kalari quantum equations, combined with human technology, have created something amazing. What kind of something? A new type of faster-than-light engine. It's 10 times faster than anything the old empires ever built. Jake smiled. Good. We're going to need fast ships to keep the peace. The Kalari scientist, a tall being with large eyes and gentle features, spoke in accented English. We are grateful to humans for freeing our children. We want to help build the new galaxy. We couldn't have done it without you, Jake replied. Your people's mathematics made our quantum weapons possible. As Jake walked through the station, he saw the changes everywhere. Human engineers worked alongside alien technicians to rebuild damaged systems. Former slaves learned to read and write in their own languages again. Children who had been separated from their families were reunited with parents they had never known. But the most important change was in the aliens themselves. The arrogance was gone. The condescension had disappeared. They looked at humans with respect, even fear. General Chris Martinez met Jake in the command center. Captain, we've received surrender offers from the last 3 Vorthic holdout worlds. They're willing to accept our terms. What are the terms? Complete disarmament, reparations to their former slaves, new governments chosen by free elections, and most importantly, they have to admit what they did. Jake had insisted on that last point. The galaxy needed to know the truth about the old empires. For too long, species had been conquered and enslaved in secret. Now the crimes were being exposed to the light. Have they agreed? They don't have much choice. Their fleets are gone. Their allies have abandoned them. They're surrounded by free worlds that remember what they did. Jake looked out at the stars through the station's windows. 6 months ago, those same stars had been controlled by ancient empires that ruled through fear. Now they were free, open to any species brave enough to explore them. Sir, we're receiving a transmission from Earth, said Communications Officer Dan Roberts. It's from the President. President Sarah Mitchell appeared on the main screen. She was an older woman with kind eyes and a strong voice. Captain Morrison, on behalf of all humanity, I want to thank you and your crew. You've changed the galaxy forever. Thank you, Madam President. But this is just the beginning. I know. That's why I'm announcing the formation of the Galactic Liberation Alliance. Earth will be the headquarters, but every free species will have an equal voice. Jake felt a surge of pride. Humanity had not just won a war. They had created something new and better. There's something else, the President continued. The freed. Species have asked us to be the peacekeepers of the new galactic order. They want human ships to patrol the trade routes and protect the weak. We accept, Jake said without hesitation. The galaxy will be safe under human protection. As the transmission ended, Jake thought about how far they had come. The aliens had called humans young, as if youth were a weakness. They had forgotten that youth meant energy, innovation, and the refusal to accept injustice. Engineer Nick Bradley approached with a big smile. "Captain, I've got good news. Earth's shipyards are producing vessels faster than ever. We'll have 50 new ships by the end of the year." "What kind of ships?" "Exploration vessels, hospital ships, cargo haulers, and a few more warships just in case. The galaxy is going to need all kinds of help." Jake nodded. "And the weapons research?" "Dr. Hughes has 3 new designs ready for testing. Quantum torpedoes, gravitic mines, and something he calls a reality disruptor. I don't understand how it works, but he says it can stop time itself." Jake laughed. "Let's hope we never need to use that one." Science Officer Amy Walsh joined them with her own reports. "Captain, we've made contact with 17 new species in the past month. Most of them are asking for protection from local warlords and pirates. And we've sent peacekeeping forces to all of them. The warlords usually surrender when they see our ships. The pirates are learning to avoid systems under human protection." Jake felt satisfaction flow through him. This was what he had dreamed of when he was a child looking up at the stars. Not conquest, but protection. Not domination, but justice. "Sir, we're getting a priority message from the Kepler 442 system," Dan Roberts reported. "It's from the Kalari homeworld." The message was from the Kalari elder, who had been elected as their first president. "Captain Morrison, we have completed our memorial to the human heroes who freed our children. We would be honored if you would attend the dedication ceremony." Jake smiled. "Tell them we'll be there." As the EA's Defiant prepared to leave Nexus Prime, Jake stood on the bridge one last time. The station that had once been the symbol of alien oppression was now the center of galactic freedom. "Tom, set course for the Kalari system," Jake ordered. "Full speed." "Yes, sir. It's good to be going back." Jake agreed. The Kalari system was where they had first shown the galaxy that humans were not to be underestimated. It was where they had rescued enslaved children and destroyed an alien fleet. It was where the new galactic order had been born. As the ship jumped into hyperspace, Jake thought about the future. The galaxy was free, but freedom required constant vigilance. There would always be those who tried to rebuild the old empires. There would always be species that needed protection. Humanity had accepted that responsibility. They had gone from being dismissed as primitive children to becoming the guardians of galactic peace. It was a huge responsibility, but Jake knew. His species was ready for it. The aliens had been right about one thing: humans were young. But they had been wrong about what that meant. Youth didn't mean weakness. It meant strength, growth, and the determination to build something better. As the Defiant raced through hyperspace toward the Kalari homeworld, Jake made a final log entry. "The galaxy called us young, as if that were an insult. They forgot that. The young are also the brave, the innovative, and the hopeful. We didn't just prove them wrong. We proved that being young is the greatest strength of all." The stars streaked past the ship's windows, and Jake smiled. The galaxy was free, and it would stay free as long as humanity remembered why they had fought, not for conquest, but for justice. Not for power, but for the right of all beings to live in peace. The age of the ancient empires was over. The age of human justice had begun, and it would last forever.